do that? How do you become like purposefully resourceful across categories?
Are genuinely thinking about those fundamentals, you will not struggle a lot in switching the industry, although a person will have to take a bet on you and you will have to upskill in that industry.
Is there a
Hmm.
successful PM archetype?
If you don't have a sense, like then you are just following, and PM role will not be a fun for you. Like you might be getting attracted to a PM role, but spend some time with yourself. Like, do you get innovative ideas about any random problem statement? You would have seen what happened with other companies that we don't need to name right now, but it's very clear that you can't be in this business without being compliant. Hmm.
Is there a India 3.0?
In this one, I might sound biased, but but I personally believe like credit is a big challenge that has not been solved properly, right? India's debt to GDP ratio, I did quote this a lot, was 0.6. Now it is 0.8. So you are looking at one full GDP of debt deficiency. Good thing the regulator did is nobody can be innovative in telling you the interest rate. Like interest rate is just 1 rupee per day on 100 rupee. Like you can't do things like that. You have to clearly mention it as per annum. And when somebody mentions it as per annum, it will come out to be like few 100% per annum, right? You would be like not be able to publish that.
You mentioned that you will have to deal with people you hate. Firstly, what would make us hate them? Secondly,
Hmm.
how do we navigate through this friction?
As soon as you asked me this, there is no electricity at my
No
place,
electricity.
so
Yes, I could realize that. First and foremost, sir, officially, welcome. I think it's a privilege.
thanks for inviting.
Always,
Yeah.
whenever I meet you, there is something new to learn, right? And this is such a honest, आपको पकड़ना बहुत मुश्किल है, but yet you took out time for this. This is super grateful for this. Thank you very much. Right. पहली चीज तो ये. But for everybody, I want to set the agenda. आप सबको भी पता होना चाहिए कि what we do in the session. For the first 30 odd minutes, I'll do a brief introduction about what Abhishek has done, which background he's coming from, and everything like that. Then I'll ask him some questions, right, regarding culture, career, things like that, divergent move, the questions that I get from all of you, right, in one way or the other, right? And I will try to ask him about his career and a bunch of things around that. For the next 30 minutes, by 7:30, 8:30-ish, 8:35-ish, I would want you people to come up and ask questions, right? Because there, I hope everybody has seen the LinkedIn profile. We had already shared it across. So you've done it. You people will raise hands and I'll bring you in the spotlight and you can directly ask a question with you, right? That is something that we'll do. And towards the end of it, we take a photograph, right? जिसके बाद आपको लिखना होता है कि आपने क्या सीखा, कैसे सीखा, and we will essentially do. So this is the typical structure of the session, right? And that is what you can expect. Listen focused, right? अच्छे से बात सुनो. That is, again, मैंने हमेशा ये बात बोली है, not speaking is not active listening. ये दो अलग चीजें होती हैं, right? So focus and ask good questions. Be open. It is not like no question is dumb, no question is bad. It is just जो आपके मन में है, अच्छे से उसको structure करो और पूछो. कोई दिक्कत नहीं, ठीक है? Make sense? Awesome. Very cool. So let me quickly start with a small introduction. It's an honor to have you, sir. Right? Thank you for taking the time. And I'm super amazed that this conversation will be super interesting, I'm sure. Abhishek is an accomplished product leader with a proven track of driving innovation and growth across industries valued in billions, right? Currently, he is the senior director and head of product at Aspero, a division of UB Securities, which overall is valued at $1 billion, right? He's leading efforts to revolutionize the investments in fixed income assets. His work tackles one of the finance's most crucial, most regulated end-to-end debt solutions in strict alignment with SEBI. So it's a heavily regulated product where compliance is a very important forefront. Before that, he worked in a very interesting industry, which is travel SaaS, right? He was the vice president of product at RateGain, which is currently valued at $700 million, and it's one of the biggest travel SaaS companies across the globe. He worked across product strategy in car rentals, holiday parks, cruise, and bunch of other stuff, right? His journey started at HealthCart, and I'm sure everybody would have heard about HealthCart, right? Where he built foundational expertise in business intelligence, product, and in general. Furthermore, he was also an entrepreneur like me, right? He built something like, he built Stroll Up in 2014, which was an innovative startup for helping tourists find local adventures through a chatbot. So I'm sure he would have very good travel recommendations for all of you. His early ventures and visionary thinking shaped him into the kind of career that he has today. He's an IIT Delhi graduate. Abhishek has shared his expertise at Assocham and XLRI, where I met him, right, coincidentally, from startups to global enterprises. His journey has been throughout and throughout. He has seen 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100, all types of journeys. So thank you, sir. Thank you for, we are thrilled to have you here, right? And
Hey,
thank
thanks a lot, Shravan, for inviting. It's always a pleasure to interact with you. I love interacting with the last batch also when we met in Bangalore. Uh, and I think you covered the intro also pretty well. So thanks a lot
Awesome.
for your kind words.
तो सर शुरू
Yeah.
करते हैं इसको. We'll keep it
Huh.
slightly formal and fun for everybody. I really
Yeah.
want to ask this in very seminal question, which is very starting. Right, you've moved across industries, and this is something everybody asks.
Hmm.
यार ये कैसे होता है? Right? Is it because
Hmm.
travel is a very different space than what you do today? Right,
Yeah.
SaaS is a very different outcome when you started in health tech, right? That is a very
Hmm.
very very different focused area, right? Now people keep asking me this question that I have spent my time in fintech for the last 10 years. Now I'm getting all
Hmm.
my opportunities, all my problems in fintech, but I don't want to work in fintech. I want to move towards SaaS. I want
Yeah.
to do something. How do you do that? How do you become like purposefully resourceful across categories? Yeah.
Hmm. I think that's a very valid question. I also get this asked a lot. And if I look at my journey, I have primarily done three industries: e-commerce, travel, and fintech. Then, and each, for me, the switch was not a challenge. Like, product inherently has a lot of transferable skills, right? So, the way you structure or think about problem statements doesn't change. So, you need a company or a person who's willing to take a bet on you. Um, Industry knowledge obviously would be required, right? So I had to learn all three industries. If I go into a fourth one someday, like I would have to again start from scratch. When UB was my first fintech stint. As soon as I joined, I started reading about finance was anyways a personal interest, so I anyways knew a lot. But UB does not do your typical payment gateway type finance. No offense against payment gateways, but it's a very deep finance. So I had to read a lot. I had to do NISM certifications so that I understand the intricacies of a bond market, of a fixed income market. How do I build products for this market? But the learnings that I had across the industries were all transferable. Similarly, from e-commerce to travel, every day we use products, we think about those problems. If you are are genuinely thinking about those fundamentals, you will not struggle a lot in switching the industry, although a person will have to take a bet on you and you will have to upskill in that industry. Like, don't go to an industry where you have zero interest because you anyways are starting from scratch. You will have to put in more hours to understand the basics. Some of the things would be very obvious for people where you would be struggling a lot. But with reading and if you have curiosity in that industry, I think at least in PM role, it's very easily transferable, provided you get somebody who's
Can you
taking a
talk a
bet.
little bit about these transferable skills? What do you mean by these skills? Can you kind of bucket
Hmm,
them and tell me what do you see? Like, I think the bigger
hmm,
question that I want to ask, is there a
hmm,
successful PM archetype? Not a PM
hmm,
archetype, but a successful PM archetype. And if you can want to talk about it, that would be
hmm.
yeah.
So I think those things also change as you grow in your career, right? So at a junior level, you look for more execution. You look for how person is researching about the problem, how deep can they go, how can they identify a particular user persona for which they are solving, and how do they execute into bite-sized pieces, right? Like you might have a very long list of things, but how do you pick something that you can test quickly and then launch and then build a path for you, right? But as when you grow into a product leadership role, all these things I'm assuming you would read on blogs and they are important. But at a leadership level, I think three things, or I think these things would be valid for a PM level also. If you are thinking from there, you should have, like, in my opinion, PM should be kind of an idea machine. Like you should be able to think new innovative ideas which are not copied from somewhere, which are not generated by GPT, like your own original ideas. If you don't have a sense, like then you are just following and PM role will not be a fun for you. Like you might be getting attracted to a PM role, but spend some time with yourself. Like, do you get innovative ideas about any random problem statement? Because if you don't get innovative ideas, it will become non-interesting for you. Then second, are you a person who will break down that idea into testable hypothesis and then change that idea? Like, do you get married to the idea that, okay, let's say I thought this idea, now this is perfect, everybody else is wrong. But or do you build a hypothesis? Okay, in this idea, I have these 10 hypotheses. I will test one, I will test two. By three, you realize, okay, I need to tweak. So are you willing to take a step back and tweak it? Then uh, in other roles, it's not like people will say collaboration is important in all roles, but if you are a developer, you're not collaborating with marketing, doesn't matter, right? But as a PM, you will have to like align with people you don't like. You might literally hate them. You don't you don't like your marketing team. You hate your legal team. You hate your compliance team. But you have to work with them. You still have to figure out a way beyond the fights, beyond like how do you uh, like make things work. So I think these three things, again, just to repeat, like original ideas, working with people you don't like, and execution. In execution, I covered like how do you trace back also on your hypothesis. These become very, very important skills. If you have these skills, then tying back to the original question, like like industry becomes secondary, right? If you are thinking like these, then you can add industry knowledge. And sometimes having multiple industries will help you. Like if I only hire people from finance, they'll not take the knowledge from other industries. Like me, I have worked in travel, I have worked in e-commerce, so I know what has worked there. Maybe finance is more advanced or like 5 years behind, but you can take learnings from those industries, what worked there. You could try something new here. So those things will also help you. So yeah,
Makes sense. I think that that's something that I completely resonate. Similar, very similar journey for me. E-commerce,
hmm.
logistics, real estate,
Yeah,
and then moving across
ed tech.
ed tech. Yes, exactly. For the
Yeah,
longest time, right? So
yeah,
I might be like an ed tech veteran. Matlab, that's what I feel. But anyways, so I
yeah,
think I want to ask you another very interesting question, which I think a lot of people don't realize, right? The PM is a very glorified role, right? It's something that
yeah,
people look from outside and go, wow, this is so
yeah.
meaningful, right? This person is sitting at the center of everything, right? Do we always do like cool stuff, or like majority of our work is like boring grunt work that you have to do meticulously? So the thing that I'm trying to ask is do you always do like is your entire day like cool stuff, doing something interesting, or there is a large component which is like boring,
Hmm.
meticulous, just by the track that you do?
No, I think that since there are a lot of PMs, they might agree. Like majority of it will be very boring, and it should be very boring if you like have to scale and build it in a proper way, right? And it also depends slightly on what portions you enjoy most, right? Like say somebody loves writing a doc, he will spend good enough time. He'll write good PRDs. He'll write 20-pager PRDs. Somebody doesn't like that bit, he will not, he or she will not that enjoy that process a lot. uh, Somebody might just enjoy the first 5% of the bit where the idea is clicking, where you are just designing, and rest of the execution aligning like 10 different teams, not just tech teams, aligning your legal, compliance, marketing, ops, everybody, that we are going to do this is something you might not enjoy. Then you go to tech team, you thought this is a 3-day thing, they give you a 3-month estimate, like, and they give, let's say you were completely wrong. Like 3 month is a, not going into estimate debate, but 3 month is a genuine time it will take, whatever you do. How do you uh, plan that journey? What milestones do you have in that? So would, for somebody, that 3 month might be very boring. Like he or she might just like the idea bit. And somebody would enjoy the process after it is launched. Like they would like the thrill of seeing the numbers. Like I launched this, I see first transaction, I see my thousandth transaction for the day. So somebody would enjoy that bit. So it will have its ups and downs. You will have a lot of failures. You will have a lot of happy moments. So I'll treat it as a sine curve. Like every day you will want to pull your hair, you will be very stressed, and there will be some fun moments which will keep you going. So yeah.
But yeah, you very coincidentally talked about failure. So I think one of the things
Hmm.
we don't realize is that failure is not something that is easily acceptable to people. For a lot of time,
Hmm.
it is something like a testament to them that they are incapable, or a lot of
Hmm.
times it tells it's too hard, right? How do you
Hmm.
navigate through? Because I'll tell you one of the things that I believe personally believe which the program does to people, and I'm sure a lot of people
Hmm.
agree. It seems very overwhelming because you're going deep now. That depth has not been achieved. And when you're starting on day one, it seems like a mountain that you have to, there's
Hmm.
a mountain to climb to essentially do that. What is your advice to people who face this every single moment, right? And that
Hmm.
you fail. Like, do you take it to heart? Or how do you kind of
Hmm.
navigate that across? Yeah.
I think no matter what I say, like failure, when you face like uh, a big failure, like I'm not talking about you launched a feature and it didn't work out, like you can change that, right? But you spent, let's say, a couple of years into building something and it's not working out, like that kind of failure will obviously have an impact on you. Like, uh, and it takes one success to get out of it. Like I will not say like don't be worried about it, it's part of the game, but it will personally hit you, it will personally impact you. uh, I can share like smaller journeys also, and a larger journey from my startup stint also. So and that's where we transition. Like this is pre my product stint. So after being a developer, I we started an outing planner product. You mentioned chatbots, but that was not our first product. So first product was even bad. So we thought people will type like in a form, like I want to go out, let's say with my friends or family. They'll tell me they want to go out for 5 hours. They are in Bangalore, and I will create an itinerary for them, like intra-city itinerary. And we had a very longer vision also. Like our vision was we want to capture travel market, but you can't because of like likes of global giants in trip planning. Like so, so we thought I will crack the habit product. People plan outstation trips maybe let's say 4 times a year, right? But they go out maybe once a week in the target segment we were choosing. So we will create a product for intra-city. Eventually, each capturing each city at a time, I will capture 200 cities that will cover the most of the world, and then in these 200 cities, I can then plan multi-city trips. That was our vision, but we couldn't move beyond 2 cities. We could not like scale that product in 2 cities. I could have launched 200. I could have done so, and the way we were approaching the problem could also have been changed, right? So we built that itinerary product. It didn't work. The Our first hypothesis we got stuck, but every solution that you're building also has the vision wise. I still believe that was the right way to approach the problem, but the solution we picked was not great. We realized people don't like fixed itineraries. If I go out with my friends, I don't know if I'll spend 2 hours in this coffee shop or half an hour. Where will I go next? They don't want very planned days. So that's where we pivoted and we built a chatbot because every conversation was starting on WhatsApp. At that time, we did not have GPTs. Now you can, when Meta AI launched in WhatsApp, this is what exactly we were trying to build in 2015. We thought we will integrate with WhatsApp. Our bot will sit inside your groups. It will listen when you want to. Like now you can chat with Meta AI. We thought we will add at Stroll and it will suggest you places. It will help you book. All of that we did. Um, and it we still like couldn't scale it beyond like 40-50,000 users. And we had spent good enough time and then we decided to shut it down. In hindsight, I could have done like 5 more things. It could have been transitioned into a data company. It could have been transitioned into a event booking company like Head Out. It had multiple paths. It could have gone into a chatbot thing like after that, so many chatbot companies came, right? And could have solved for so many different use cases. But we, in that, the learning is I was ready to pivot small, small solutions. I was not ready to pivot the whole idea or the whole vision of the company because I was married to, I want to capture travel market. I was not looking at other markets that this tech that I have built and nobody has chatbots today. There were companies who were interested in acquiring us. There were companies who wanted to replace their full customer service teams, full sales teams. But we were very oblivious to all that. We were very arrogant. No, I will just do this. And I after that I took a couple of months break. Like I had to, and I like it was a sad time. I was not sure what I want to do next. Only when I was able to do good things at Healthcard, working directly with the founder, I felt yes, like I am not a failure. Maybe I had constraints. Provided with the right team and the capital, I have thought of so many good ideas and executed well. So I think it takes time to come out of a failure. I will again repeat, like it will definitely impact you, but you still should try hard and you will have to figure out when do you stop. Uh, and there is nothing wrong. Like I could have stopped at my first 6 months. I tried for 2 years and then somebody might try like stop after 5 years. But whatever is the that breaking point for you, that you have to personally define and it will impact you. But you will get one success and then you will feel very good.
That
So,
is the fun about ambiguity, right? It has
yeah,
to account for all variables, right place, right time,
yeah,
right resources, right everything. And then comes the skill of the product manager to marshal
yeah,
them together and get it done, right? And
yeah.
that is what people, that's what makes this role so interesting to think from a systems
Hmm,
point, right? You have to think of everything and everything, everything about everything,
yeah.
right? And this is what I keep telling like my students also, right? If you don't build that tenacity, it's not an easy
Hmm,
role to do if you want to be successful at it. But it's a very enterprising. The upside is insane. The upside is
hmm.
you see a lot of value, you create a lot of value. But I want to ask you another question regarding to this only,
Sure.
right? The
Hmm,
question that I want to ask is, you now work in a heavily regulated space, right?
hmm,
Everything has a consequence. It is very similar to
hmm.
being a founder, at least in
Yeah.
regulated spaces, right?
Hmm,
Every small thing has a consequence. If there is some even an element of small term and condition which is missed, right? People can hold you accountable. How
hmm,
in that situation now, we are also human, however capable we are bound to make mistakes, right?
hmm,
Deal with them.
hmm.
Yeah, that's
So, yeah, in this one, there is uh, like a very, very simple answer. Like you follow compliance like 100%. You can't mess it up. You uh, hire good compliance people in the team. You weekly review, like you daily review what you are doing, not just in the product and text, like what are you marketing, what are you emailing, how are your processes. Compliance is not just what are you displaying in the product, it is also how are your processes, how are your support systems, when somebody raises a ticket, how fast it gets resolved. Every aspect of your product gets looked at, and we follow it 100%. Like we will lose business. So the simple answer to this is, uh, if you are in a regulated industry, regulator has given you license to do something. Everybody cannot do this, and they can take that license away. So if uh, so the cost of being non-compliant is very, very huge. You would have seen what happened with other companies that we don't need to name right now, but it's very, very clear that you can't be in this business without being compliant. Secondly, uh, you have to be regularly updated with all the regulations that have come and probably can come. You have to also sense like like people knew that something is going to come for FNO, right? So you have to build that sense. Like, what is SEBI trying to do? What is RBI going to do? You would have seen they're not launching new SGBs. In FNO, they have put so much taxes. This is what they did in crypto also. They killed all crypto startups in India in one shot, right? So if you are not and following regulations is not just like following what is written, but also in the spirit. Like what, don't try to find loopholes, don't try to find backdoors, right? Because they will it they don't take time. They will just release an updated circular that okay, you can't do this also. Then you have to again shut down. Try if you try to understand the intention behind that regulation, then you can truly follow it. And I think in a regulated industry, that is the only way to build a business.
That's such a
And that,
powerful thing to say. Such
yeah,
a powerful thing to say because the first lecture that we had, I told them it's the metacognition. That's the intent behind the why. That is that is
yes,
what really changes things. It's such an interesting thing to say. But I want to ask one thing since we have kind of spoken
hmm,
about this.
hmm,
This I want to know how does your day look like? Like I really want to
hmm,
understand what do you do, right? You now
hmm,
have a team. You talked
hmm,
about the related part of it, right? How
hmm,
does a day look like? Who do you interact with? Who are the people do you
hmm,
communicate with? And how is it any different from your role as a PM currently?
hmm. I think at a leadership level, your role changes a lot from a PM. Not a typical day, I'll tell you a week maybe. So in a typical week, I would like have my connects with all my counterparts. I would be spending good enough time with my compliance team, my ops team, my marketing team, my a lot of tech team folks, and my own team. Majority of time I will spend in strategizing and looking at what how it is going. So for me, I am running, let's say, five different business verticals. So I would have, and every business would be at a different scale. In some, we are just trying to launch. In some, we are slightly in an acquisition phase where we are acquiring some more users. Some we are in a growth phase. So every business will have different challenges. I would have planned my week ahead that this week, this is what we want to achieve collectively, and this is how it is tying to my monthly and quarterly goals. Mainly, we will focus on that. Some bit, I'll steal few hours to think about what next. Like, how do we scale this to the next level? We already have a very large targets and a broader vision. But what are the new things I can launch? What are the new things I can try? I'll try to do those things. I'll play around with AI also. Like, what can we do? Is this now ready to be used? We are using almost all AI, but uh, I don't see a lot of good results other than creating content or some basic things. It's not at the level that it can create a fully functioning application for me if I just type it, right? So we explore all these things. I'll spend time in reading regulations. I'll spend time, a lot of my time in talking to a lot of customers, and uh, could be like on both sides, my retail customers, my HNI customers. Will give time to all alike. And then lastly, I would also spend a lot of time with the partners and vendors. Like, let's say I'm working with one payment gateway partner, one partner for my agreements, one partner for something else that I'm doing. And I would, at any given point, I would be launching 20 new things. So for those things, I'll have to figure out, I'm launching an account aggregator. How do I integrate with an account aggregator? How do I do this? So it's mostly like what I said originally, thinking new ideas, then figuring out, at least, let's say I will not go to the PRD level, but I will figure out how I want to approach this, brainstorm with my team, and then once we finalize, then the team executes mostly. I would move on to the next thing, like what are we doing next? How are we tracking numbers? Meet customers, board members, investors, and everyone. So I've given a very unstructured answer, but I hopefully it covers the week.
That is so true. That is so true. The only thing
Yeah.
that we should do is like PMs try to bring complexity to like simplicity, right? But we
Yeah.
always fail. So it is with you.
Yeah.
I'm 100% with you.
Yeah.
So the thing that I want to ask next is how do you one more question that people generally keep asking me, what's
Hmm.
next for fintech? What's next?
Hmm.
Right? Where
Hmm.
is the next major unlock for our country? Right? Is,
Hmm.
is there a India 3.0? Which
Hmm.
we saw India 1.0, we saw India 2.0, like with the quick
Hmm.
commerce segment coming up, right? And now, where is India 3.0, right? Is the
Hmm.
and as a probably heavily into this space, since you speak to so many people, is there some kind of a signal which like new product managers like me not able to see, which you are able to see? Yeah.
In this one, I might sound biased, but but I personally believe like credit is a big challenge that has not been solved properly, right? We in the first generations of fintechs, we solved for payment gateways, use cases, we solved for payment transfers via UPI and all those things. That has been simplified and like amazing. And then you had companies like Zerodha and others, which simplified investments in stock market and mutual funds. Now, then mutual funds have innovated a lot. Then you have its index funds were super amazing. You can participate in any industry you want with a very, very minimal expense ratio. You don't need wealth managers, right? You can just invest in index fund and get exposure. And then there's small case type products. So a lot has been done on this side, but if you look at credit side, it is still uh, at a very premature state. India, India's debt to GDP ratio, I quote this a lot, was zero point 0.6. Now it is zero point 0.8. In a developed nation, it should be around 1.6, 1.8. So you are looking at one full GDP of debt deficiency. So $2 trillion annually is
Yeah.
additionally should come, right? So now how would this happen? Like so many companies will have to come who can find the banks cannot go everywhere and do everything, right? So many companies are already coming up are giving you loans, but how do you reduce the cost of loan for individual and a corporate? We get surprised like why are people raising money at 36% annually? So many people in India are raising money at 60% annually. There are very, very small businesses like genuinely they should raise money, let's say at 12, 14, 15%, but they they get scammed. They take money from loan sharks, from unregulated sectors. So a lot of money will come here. And secondly, just related to this, as India has invested in equities, now people understand equities. People gamble a lot in FNO, but people are not building their debt portfolio. People have to understand portfolio allocation, like how much that is completely personal, but some portion of your portfolio should be debt. And in debt, then you can divide like I want to buy bonds, I want to invest in PF, I want to do MPS, whatever you want to do. So I think these two fronts are something that will be very big in future. Again, completely maybe biased because we work on both. So,
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah.
But I think India predominantly there is one more reason. I think we have been a debt averse country in general,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
that is something that people think of it as a burden in most cases, right? And that is why, which was very surprising. But right, like US is like the lopside example of it, where your like debt to GDP ratio is like 20, is
Yeah.
20x. You're
Yeah.
you're you're screwed that way. But the thing is, what you said was completely true because I think lending card essentially
Yeah.
scaled, right? And they
Yeah.
understood it very well. A company out of Gujarat, right, doing this across was like super, super powerful for me to see. I think the last question before I kind of open up to the and Janta, please
Hmm.
start raising hands, right? It can be any question about your product life cycle, anything. I would recommend good questions. And more importantly, I give chances to women more. That's just my personal bias, right? So I would recommend, please, it doesn't mean anything. Any damn question is okay. It's where it is comfortable space, safe place. There's nothing to think that nobody thinks अदरवाइज ठीक है। तो आप हाथ रेज करो, मैं एक एक करके आपको बुलाऊंगा, लेकिन 1 person at a time, ठीक है। The last question that I want to ask you, right, and which is very, very meaningful. What do you look in a PM when you hire? Do you just hire fintech PMs? Like, I want to put you at the spot and say, do you?
Yeah, we haven't hired anybody who had fintech background. Like mostly, maybe they might have couple of years of in some fintech company that also completely unrelated. We look for general smartness and general PM skills. Like if you and depends on like what level we are hiring. Uh, Hardworking, some proven track record somewhere at least, right? Otherwise, like unless it's an APM role, I would need some signals that okay, you have done something, you want to, you will hustle, you will figure out. You are at a junior level, execution becomes very important. Like, are you thinking structurally? Can you break down the problem and can you execute? Like, if you are able to do that at a junior level, that becomes important. And then, because we know domain we can teach, like, you anyways will not understand bonds. My users don't understand. The people I'm trying to hire will not understand bonds. Right? We don't expect, uh, because the kind of fintech, as I said earlier, the kind of fintech we are doing is complex, and you will not find people like from where do I hire. So the fintech also becomes very like somebody coming from travel or an e-commerce also is very similar to me as a person coming from fintech. So yeah.
Makes sense. I think that that's such a cool thing. The way I kind of do this thing, na, and I know all of these are my students, they're my kids, right? So what I typically do is I just validate what I say because they don't listen to me any which ways. So I just validate it through my friends who come across and they say the same thing, and then they say, yeah, sahi bol raha tha yaar, sahi bol raha tha. Makes sense.
Great.
Cool. So let me just call Hilda. I'm calling you. So I'm just putting you in the spotlight. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Can everybody see Hilda in the spotlight? Can
Yep.
everybody give me a yes?
This
Awesome.
this is a
Over
cool
to you.
feature I have not seen.
Yes. See, that's what you do when you take online classes. Now, you just explore the product too much, right? Makes sense.
Yes.
Hilda, over to you. Please introduce yourself and ask the question. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Sravin. Hi, I'm Hilda.
Hi.
I have done a beginner loan advanced salary related product in the US market. So one of my question is with regards to the ethics in the loan industry. I
Hmm.
mean, you've also mentioned that a developed nation needs to have so much of debt allocation, and we are also a debt averse nation.
Hmm.
Along with that, where does the ethics of,
Hmm.
where a loan industry stands and how a person takes loan,
Hmm.
and where do we draw the boundaries and lines as to what a good loan is and how much
Hmm.
should we push a person, and why do we consider, uh, so much percentage of debt should be there for us to be in a developed nation?
Thank you,
Hmm.
Hilda. Didn't ask me
I
this question.
think
I would have failed, right? I'm sorry to interject here, but
that's
thank you very
yeah.
much. I'm on the receiving side right now. Please. Yes.
I think yeah, that's a very interesting question, and uh, I'm not sure if I have the right answer, but I will give you my view. Uh, I think you look at risk risk profile and the loan percentage interest that you are charging. You don't look at is it ethical to charge this much, right? You could define that this is ethical because I am taking a very huge risk. So if you understand how loan market is working, you either might be a bank or you might be some originator who is uh, raising money from banks. Like banks would also raise money from other banks or RBI, or you could be an NBFC who always needs capital. So let's say you as a bank are raising money at 12. You will not do home loans. You will not do vehicle loans. You are doing unsecured loans, right? So, and then you would know what is the profile of the people. If you are giving loans to people who are, let's say, above 650 credit score, then you can probably afford a 15, 18 range. You will have some NPAs. But let's say you are serving people who have no credit history, right? Like even 24 would look very less to you because a lot of money will not come back. So, uh, keeping ethics side aside, it becomes a math equation. Like, what is your cost of capital? What is your NPA? And what is it you can afford? Because you are here to make that spread. Otherwise, you don't have a business. Somebody might take a view that I will do social service. I will try to provide loans to people I would provide loans to underserved segment and I would cap it to 15%. That is a ethics call you can take. I would say not everybody is taking that. I see companies issuing loans at 48, 60% also, and that is at par with what a loan shark would charge you. Like a very unregulated loan shark who is giving you cash. Like uh, imagine a Golgappa or a vendor, right? That guy is raising money at maybe 5% a day also, or a 2% a day. Not even talking about month. Uh, so that is a very unethical angle, right? Like how do you? Nobody can survive 1% a day also. That you should not do. Like maybe, but since it is anyways unregulated, how do you put the ethics question there? So I hope I have given you some thoughts.
Yeah, and what do you think about microloans as well? Is it also on
Hmm.
the same lines?
So microloans, like they have helped boost the economy also, right? All of us, like all these slice type of loans or like easy credit card EMIs, all of these things have helped a lot of people buy a lot of stuff. Maybe it has gone beyond like what people can afford, but I think that is a choice people would have to take. Like businesses trying to help you get the stuff you need. So I don't see an ethics question there. And the interest rates also are not that like 1%, 2% a day, right? Max you will get is 24 or 16.
Makes sense. Such an amazing. What I want to ask one thing to you. What I think Hilda was asking this question, and I also want to understand this. Where is the defining line between education? My point is
Hmm.
somebody going to a loan shark and the loan shark suggesting that this
Hmm.
20% is a good thing and the person doesn't know it, right?
Hmm.
That is where I think a lot of people feel scammed and the things like that. That
Yeah.
something. How do you solve for that?
Yeah, इसमें simple thing is the regulator solves it for you, right? So one good thing the regulator did is nobody can be innovative in telling you the interest rate. Like it is just interest rate is just 1 rupee per day on 100 rupee. Like you can't do things like that. You have to clearly mention it as per annum. And when somebody mentions it as per annum, it will come out to be like few 100% per annum, right? So you would be like not be able to publish that. But uh, in in an unregulated setup, like you are taking money from me or I'm taking money from you, it becomes hard in that setup. But if you're doing it at scale, I think you will have to anyways follow guidelines. So the regulator is watching, the regulator is taking care of all these things. I am sure more such things would come in and protect the retail investor.
Awesome. Amazing. The next person I'm calling is Harsh. I'm calling you. So I'm just putting you across. Give me a second. I'll just remove Hilda from the spotlight. Yes. Harsh, over to you, man. Go for it. Please introduce yourself and ask your question. Yes.
Hi, Abhishek. I'm Harsh. I have
I,
over 4 years of experience in supply chain in operations, and I've recently moved to a semi-tech, semi key manager role. So I'm here. I'm looking to transition into product roles. So I have two
hmm,
questions for you. So firstly, like as you stated, okay, basically in your when you were explaining about your weekly schedule, you told us that you look for a problem, you solve it, address it, and then move on to the next project. And the developers take care of the rest. But there may be chances wherein there might be some gap in communication or something or another, wherein what was intended to be built wasn't built and something else comes out as the whole product. So, like, how risky is it for a product manager? Like, because obviously, being a product
yeah,
manager,
so
we are the
yeah,
one
understood. I think
responsible.
I should have clarified. Not I don't give it to the developers. I give it to my product team. So
Uh,
I have a team of PMs who will do the fine tuning and execution. We will align, and obviously, we'll do multiple grooming sessions with the dev team. We'll see what they're building weekly. We'll do multiple doubt sessions. And it's not that they will always get it wrong and build it wrong, right? You might also change
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you thought.
There
Like,
might be change
I
in.
thought 3 weeks ago that this is what I want. Now I want to change it. And that is also completely fine. You might get new data points and you will go back to your team that, okay, we messed up. We need to now move in this direction.
Also, one more question. That you mentioned that you will have to deal with people you hate, like in your introductory part. Okay, they could be from marketing, sales, uh, basically compliance, development, etc. So, firstly, what would make us hate them? Secondly,
Hmm.
how do we navigate through this friction without compromising on the addressing the customer's pain point? So, also,
Harsh is asking because he might be facing the same in his group for some. I'm
No,
not
so
sure. Don't
uh,
worry.
not in the
I think
case.
yeah. So like hate part, like maybe as kind of kidding also, but
No,
you would
I got
not
you.
basically like everybody, right? And liking means like you would not like to hang out post office with everybody, right? Everybody is not your friend.
Obviously.
Everybody has a role to do, and you are as a PM, you are there to do the coordination and convince everybody, align everybody. So you have to figure out from that person's angle also, right? So what does that person want to do? It's not like you versus him that you are
Obviously.
convincing him or he is convincing you. You align on what is the common theme, like what does it look like, and then you both collectively think about how do we solve this problem because we both have this collective goal. So you'll have to, and this is just one of the ways, you'll have to figure out different ways of working with everybody. I'm sure like all of you are experienced people. You will not have great working relationship with all of your team members and like everybody, right? It'll be dishonest for me to say that even at my leadership level, I gel well with everybody. It will, I will not. And but I will still make it work. I'll have that kind of relationship with them that we get the work done. I might not hang out with them after work, which is fine.
Yes. So following up on this question to get a little more
Hmm.
detail out of you. So basically
Harsh,
at
Harsh,
times,
I think in the interest of time, I want other
sure,
people
sure, sure.
to ask
Yes.
questions. You can
Okay.
give me the question, I'll forward it
Okay.
to Abhishek.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, you can route it by him or ping me on LinkedIn.
Yes,
Sure.
I'll respond.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next,
Great.
I'm bringing, give me a second. Prashansa, I'm bringing you in. Prashansa, please introduce yourself. Go for it.
Sure. Hi, Abhishek. I'm Prashansa, and I have around 9 years of experience around strategy and business development. So currently, I'm working with an AI application security startup. And so my question is also on those lines because as a product
Hmm.
manager, you also need to look at the security of your product, right?
Yeah.
Cybersecurity, and especially for fintech companies, which are so heavily regulated, governance and cybersecurity is a very very important topic. So as a product manager or product leader, what is the depth of knowledge you need to have
Hmm.
the cybersecurity and governance topic? I know
Hmm.
that you bring in the relevant teams, but you also need to have your own mechanisms to understand how they're working, right? So what is the depth of knowledge you need to
Hmm.
have those aspects as a PM?
Yeah. So I think I'll answer it in two parts. Like you could uh, keep getting the knowledge, you could keep acquiring the knowledge, but you would also have your own limitations. So, uh, at least personally, me in this scenario, I rely on the experts. So, I will not try to figure out everything on my own here. We have a great InfoSec team. We have, they will suggest all the security protocols. They will do a lot of things, and I will trust them to do it. Like, I will not question them. This is not an area of expertise for me, so I will rely on the experts here mostly. Uh, but if it was an area where you also have an opinion, I will still rely on the expert, but I will be able to discuss and debate with them on the solutions and understand more. In this security aspect of my product, I will not have the working knowledge to debate with my InfoSec guy. So I will rely more on their expertise.
So
Is it, but just one thing, but isn't
Yeah.
that a function of trust? Like, isn't that a function of trust? Because let's assume, like you said, that you don't have a working relationship. How do you essentially ascertain that the thing that is coming my way because I don't have depth there is the right thing that is
Hmm.
happening?
Hmm. See, and this is not just a security question, right?
Yeah, it's
You
a
can
general
apply
question.
it to
Yes.
tech team also, like, right? Somebody like a lot of people transition from business, they have never done coding, they will struggle with tech solutions also. Let's say I was a techie and started as a developer, so I can maybe still do lightweight system design, like very high level system design, and I will understand all that. So I'll be able to interact more with the developer and tech teams and my solutions architect. But had I not uh, been in that space, I would have to rely more on my tech counterpart. I would have to trust them because there is no other way. You anyways have to play to your strong suits. Either you will learn tech if you are interested. If you're not, then play to your strong suits. In that scenario, your strong suit will be your business side, your marketing side, maybe your compliance side. So figure out what you are good at. You don't have to do everything. So let's say for me, I will not do InfoSec and security. I but I understand tech, I understand business, understand design. So I would focus more on those aspects. In some aspects, you basically the key message here is you don't have to do everything on your own. Even if it is security for you, you will leave something. You will maybe leave marketing to the experts. You will have to choose what are you strong at, and you keep building your expertise there and rely on experts where you know you are weak. You can still develop working knowledge, but rely on the experts.
Makes sense. Prashansa, in the interest of time, I want everybody to ask one question. Just
Sure.
one question, not more than that, because I want everybody to get opportunity. Okay, Prashansa, if there is any further question, drop the EDM to me. I'll forward it across to you. Thank you very much.
Thank
आगे
you.
चलते हैं. Let me just quickly call Deepak. I'm calling you in. Deepak, yes, over to you. Please introduce yourself. The
Yeah,
questions.
hi Abhishek. Hope you're good,
Right.
man. So,
Good.
I am Deepak.
Yeah.
I have 4 years of fintech experience, and I have two questions. One is from your life, and one is from my observation. तो पहले आपका वाला क्वेश्चन लेते हैं. तो
दीपक
since
एक सवाल पूछना है. एक
एक क्वेश्चन.
एक ही क्वेश्चन है. ये कंडीशन है. एक क्वेश्चन पूछना है. Yes.
oh,
हाँ.
ठीक है, चलो मैं आपकी लाइफ वाला क्वेश्चन पहले पूछता हूँ. ठीक है. So since you told us you were working at for a chatbot company in 2015 and you had 40 to 50,000 subscribers to it, and since internet was growing in 2015, right? So I want to know, you told us you had to shut it, you know? So I want to know, since the market was growing, so what was your biggest problem at that time? How did you deal with it? And the Abhishek today, if you see back, what did you see कि these are the mistakes that I made और इसकी जगह ये भी हो सकता था. Yeah.
Yes, sure. Some of it I have answered, but just to add, like we were bootstrapping first, so money becomes very critical. How do you scale when you have like some level of users also? Your AWS free credits will not last a long time. So, and we were only making money from bookings and restaurant booking, there was already Zomato, so I was only making money if I do nightclub bookings and go-karting bookings, and that was not great. So a lot of portion of my bookings was in 50,000 users. Even if you do 500 bookings, it's not much, and then all 500 are not money-making bookings. So with let's say 30, 50 bookings, I'm making approximate numbers now, but you'll not make enough to uh, just keep the company running. And then at some point, you will be like, my opportunity cost is too much. We could be making a lot more if we were working somewhere else. The funding offers we were getting were not at the right valuation that we wanted because, and not just from a valuation perspective, but the amount that we needed to reach the next milestone was not, we were not getting that. Um, Answering the second bit also, like I answered, there were five different things I could have done and scaled the company in a different direction. But we were too arrogant to do that. We decided to not, uh, we were too arrogant to not get it acquired also because why get logged in for 3 years in a company that you don't like? So, yeah.
Makes sense. Super cool. Next, Astha, I'm bringing you in. Yes. Go for it, Astha. Yes.
Hi, Abhishek. How are
Hi.
you?
All good. How are you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so nice to see and meet you here. And I'm working as a product manager. I have approximately years of experience. And as you have served multiple industries, I've also worked across financial services. And now I'm working as a product manager in telecom. So I'm more intrigued towards fintech side.
Hmm.
So I have a question regarding to that. As you
Hmm.
mentioned in the very beginning, that the signal you are getting right now that there is a lot of potential in debt instruments, and it's a very like market that will grow eventually. But
Hmm.
right now, this market is very mature in US and European markets.
Hmm.
So from that perspective, in India, which is such a niche market right now, how you are creating customer education through your
Hmm.
product and
Hmm.
creating that awareness about these debt instruments and everything right now in
Hmm.
front of the customers, so as to grow that up to that much level, because in India people doesn't know that you can earn money by giving out the money. See, they
Yeah.
just only know the debt is where you have to take money. So
Hmm.
that concept is not there in the head right now in Indian people mostly. So how you are
Yeah.
creating that awareness about the products so as to grow it
Hmm.
eventually? Yeah.
I think, yeah, I'll tell you what we are doing, but obviously there is a long way to go for us also. We can improve like 10, 50x there. I especially love what Zerodha did with equity markets with their varsity and now 01 initiatives. We are not there yet. Like we have not cracked it. Uh, for them, I think education becomes key because market was already developed. They were not listing stocks. Even if I educate today, what do you buy? Like there are not many instruments in India to buy, right? So first we try to bring the instruments. So we research about companies that are good, we will put our rationale on top of it, like why we are giving money to this company. So we are putting a lot of risk and we're putting a lot of capital in those companies to bring them to the market. And then we launch those companies in the market. So I have to do the part of a pseudo exchange also. I have to be the bank also. And then I would do a lot of education. And then we do publish content a lot we do private webinars for those companies. Uh, we're not, since we have a very B2B DNA, we've not
Mm.
gone to the masses because we don't believe every type of company is suitable for every type of retail investor. So we do very heavy risk profiling. A lot of it goes to institutional and large HNI investors and family offices. I would eventually hope that as we are able to scale, we are able to educate the masses also. We've built a good market in people who can take risk. Now we are going one step below, one step below. Eventually, I hope everybody is able to invest in bonds like they invest in SIP.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Amazing. Next, Pavel, I'm bringing you in. Yes. Go for it, Pavel. Please introduce yourself and go for
Hello,
it.
Abhishek.
Hi, Paul.
My name is Pavel. I work as a freelancer in the digital transformation space. Right.
Hmm,
So my question to you is: so in a position that you are now, if you look
hmm,
back and say that these are all the essential activities that you did day in and day out to reach here,
hmm,
and among them, what were the activities you felt challenging as doing,
hmm,
especially during your tougher time?
hmm,
Your discipline made it to do, and you you able to do it
hmm.
where you're here.
No, so I'll give you an honest answer. Like I don't want to sound too preachy. So nobody is perfect, right? So I will also have my ups and downs. When my startup shut down for 2 months, I was just doing gaming. I didn't know what to do, uh, and I didn't feel like doing anything else. So and there will be times like these, right? So uh, I used to play music. I have just behind me there is a synth. I used to play guitar, and I have not played it for last 3, 4 years. Now it's just lying there, right? So your hobbies will change, your passions will change. I like
Uh,
to play chess a lot. I've played 2 federated tournaments, lost mostly with great international players, but or national players. But my hobbies will change, my passions will change. I like to watch a lot of content. So if I'm feeling down, I would maybe binge a lot, right? I would not say I'm disciplined, right? I wouldn't, and like disciplined, I was maybe for 2, 3 years when I was preparing for JE, right? After that, like I don't wake up at 5 a.m. I still sleep less. I still work a lot. I you can call me a workaholic. I would be working on weekends, but I do take a lot of breaks. I do travel a lot. I do watch a lot of content. I'll do everything that you will see an undisciplined person do. But I know that I have some things to do, and I will finish those things. I I like uh, and this is different for everybody. Like
Yeah,
this, like somebody for somebody working at night works. Like for somebody waking up early in the morning works. And you have to figure out what works for you. Like don't follow like wake up at 5, do this, do that.
no,
Uh,
no, my perspective is like, I mean, I failed twice. I tried doing something and I
hmm,
failed twice. So I am able to absolutely understand what you're saying. So right now
hmm,
I am into the zone of doing something, but I something is killing that I should not get into the survival mode forever, right?
yeah,
So I'm kind of going ahead, learning what are all the things that I don't know and picking up stuff.
hmm,
But one thing, the answer that I could not find is what are the essential activities
hmm,
I
I
think
should
I
do.
think I think let,
Yeah.
let me try to give a 30-second bit of it. I think there is
hmm,
always bias for action. There are some things which are like non-negotiables, and there are some things which are negotiables. If you consistently deliver on those non-negotiables, you have defined for yourself that, oh, I want to finish this program. I want to learn this thing. This is a non-negotiable for me at this point of time. You will have bias for action for it. Even if you're unstructured in other places, the decisions are not that consequential, right? That it will change your life. But some decisions are consequential, right? You need to be a very good judgment or judger of that fact that what is consequential and what is not, right? And if you are able to write it down somewhere, then you will always know that this is the bias for action I have to keep. No matter what I leave in the other place, this is something that I cannot leave. I think that is how you should kind of look at it. But cool,
Thank
pal.
you very much.
I'll just move across. Shraddha, I'm bringing you in. Yes. And Abhishek, I just need 10 more minutes. I think there are a bunch of questions.
maybe this is a very interesting conversation. I
Yeah.
can stay if people are
Yes.
staying. So
Yes. So
uh,
I
yeah.
don't want to super like
And
restrict.
just 10 second if I can add for Pavel also.
Yes, please.
I think yeah, being vulnerable, you shared a very personal thing. Thanks for that. Uh, One suggestion is like try to do one thing every day. Like uh, this is what Shravan was also alluding to. Like,
Thoughts.
but yeah, try to make some progress on that one thing. Like after 2 months, you will see you have crossed a mile, but at least
Yeah.
make some progress. Yeah.
Makes
Thank you
sense.
very much.
Shraddha, please introduce yourself. Go for it.
Sure. Hi, Abhishek. I'm Shraddha, and I work in fintech domain since past 9 plus years. Um, Currently, I work as a product manager with the UBS. And my
Oh,
question,
awesome. Hmm.
yes, thank you. My question is regarding regulatory compliance. So,
Hmm.
in your experience, how do you balance the requirement for strict regulatory compliance with maintaining
Hmm.
flexibility and
Hmm.
innovation in product development?
Hmm.
Asking even compliance requirements are at times constraints. Are there
Yeah.
any strategies or framework that have helped you to
No,
navigate?
for us, it's very simple. Like we'll not innovate in compliance. We'll follow it to the T. Like if SEBI has given me incorrect language in the circular, like it should be, let's say, fixed deposits are regulated by RBI. But if they have given in the circular, it is written a fixed deposit is regulated by. I will write it like that.
Yes.
This is not the right example, but let's say even if there is a grammatical mistake, I will not try to correct it. I will put it as is. If
Okay.
you see they require me to put like 50 different disclaimers on all my pages, and in I've dumped everything on. Like if you look at our page, my disclaimer page is like this, and it's very ugly. I
Yeah,
I I could clean
happens.
it. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But I will follow it, like because penalty for not following is very high. They can kill your
Right,
business.
right.
All your innovative things will go for a toss. you will have to shut down the company in a day. You will have to fire everybody. All your business will be gone. So even if it doesn't make sense, even if it is very strict, we follow it. You still have routes to fight it out, right? We formed an association to discuss and brainstorm with SEBI. We give feedback. We meet them. You can get the rules uh, amended, like, but as long as they are passed, we follow it. Like, we don't play around with that.
Okay, got it. I couldn't finish my question and you started, but then any which
Sorry.
ways, this is
You can ping me on LinkedIn, sure.
Yes,
I
we
will
can-
do that. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Awesome.
the insight.
Let me bring in Mamta. I'm bringing you in. Please, over to you. Go for it. Sorry, guys. I'm trying my best. That in the interest of time, I'm trying. So please bear with me. Mamta, please, over to you.
We can stay slightly more, so yeah.
Absolutely. मैं 15 मिनट assume करके चल रहा हूँ तो वो तो मैं चल चुका हूँ already. मैं
Don't say
बस
that we
Sure.
will drag you until 9:30 also.
yes.
Hello,
No
by the
worries.
way.
Yeah.
Good evening. My
Hi.
name is Mamta. This is regarding transition, sir. You said
Hmm.
that you transitioned from industry to the industry, and that you did mention about certifications. You did learn about the industry yourself. But then at this point of time, you are at a director level. How do you choose people right now? A person
Hmm.
who has done a lot of certifications, lot of programs like rethink systems that we are here right now, though those kind of aspects, or a person who has studied by themselves, built case studies on that by themselves, made portfolios. Who would you prefer from either of those two kind of people?
No, so I don't think either of these things give you an edge, right? So first of all, team building is different. You're not like when we are giving interviews, we think we are hiring one person and you have to pass a checklist, right? But the hiring manager is looking for what I don't have in my team.
Mm-hmm.
So I have five people, let's say. I will have somebody who is very good at idea generation. I lack somebody who's a strong executor. So I will have my own scale. Like in the next hire I want, he should be adding something in my team, like he or she. They should not be a copy of my existing team. Like every team member should be different. So
Right.
so today I look for those complementary skills. Like let's say I don't have a strong marketing personality in the team, or I don't have a very sales DNA in the team. So I'll add that if I were expanding. Like I would not look for two same people, like two people with same skill set. At least personally, I don't want.
How
So
do you look for that? You go to the LinkedIn, see how their reactions are, see what they have posted,
no,
see,
no.
or how do you look for that?
So yeah, I will not have time for all that. So I would explain the requirements very well to my recruiter.
Hiring. Mm-hmm.
They will filter out a lot of profiles for me. If I still want, I can go like let's say they've given me 100 resumes. I will then look at each resume. I might like 50 of them. Then on those 50, I will look maybe on LinkedIn. And a lot of times on LinkedIn, I'm not looking for what certifications you have
Yeah.
done. I'm
Yeah.
looking for, is it matching to your resume? Like a lot of times, your resume is not matching your LinkedIn, which tells me you either are faking because you're not okay putting that in a public profile. You're okay putting it in LinkedIn, or there will be inconsistency. So, or yeah, if your resume is not easy to read, but I found it interesting, then I look for LinkedIn so that I get it in a chronological order and a proper sense. But yeah, like shortlisting doesn't matter much. Then it will impact like how you performed in the interviews and what at that time the team is looking for.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They'll
So,
not
thank
look.
you.
Yeah.
One thing that I will also add, Mamta. So,
Hmm.
what I think Abhishek said is very, very relevant, and you should understand that all of these certifications or doing case studies are instruments. They are
Mm-hmm.
just to showcase your thought process,
Mm-hmm.
a reflection of that, right? It's not that instrument that makes you successful. An
Right.
instrument acts like a proof of work. It
Mm-hmm.
says that, okay, if this person has made this kind of a PRD, he's probably meticulous or resourceful in how he thinks. And that is an attribute that attracts a recruiter. Then says, or the hiring manager, oh, I want this kind of person. It is never a collection of certifications. You do it from here, you do it from Stanford, you do it from Harvard. It does not depict anything unless and until you have depth. So that's what you should be your core takeaway. That am I becoming better in the competencies that a good product manager has?
Yeah.
If I'm doing that, then I think any sort of pathway works.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, just 10 seconds more if I can
Yes,
add. So
please.
these things will, like, somebody might trick also, right? Somebody will do a 2-day course and write Harvard, and I didn't read it properly. I will get tricked for a second, but
Yeah,
if you don't have the knowledge to back it up in the interview, then like what was the point? You just wasted an hour. So
right.
Makes
look
sense?
for building knowledge. Yeah.
Sure.
Makes sense. I'll bring Ram. Ram, I'm bringing you in. Please go for it, Ram. Yes.
Hi, Abhishek. I'll directly jump into the question. We can connect on LinkedIn later.
Sure.
You seem to have worked with startups where user behavioral aspect is majorly affecting the usage, not like generic products where I'll pay for simply. And
Hmm.
in a country like India, geolocation of Southeast Asian countries where people don't pay generally for these kinds of products. Uh, I'll try to curb all three questions into one. I just use ChatGPT
Hmm.
also for that. How do you navigate the challenges of developing innovative products in these startups where you need to do that because the user behavior plays a major aspect, right? But at the same time, you have a lot of regulations in this particular company you are working. It's also one side you have to put lot of innovation. At the side, you are being regulated a lot than other companies by the SEBI and other agencies also. At the
Hmm.
same time, how often do you have to change your roadmaps?
Hmm.
How do you handle the investor pressure because of changing these roadmaps and everything else?
Hmm. Yeah, so so I'll answer in random order. So investors don't like look at your roadmap changes, right? So they look at what outcomes you are bringing. They don't worry about how you are bringing, right? So in my board meetings, I would talk about this is what we have done. This is directionally we are doing. Uh, they will not go into like what is the color of this or like how did I exactly launch this. We don't have that much time, right? So in our regulated setup, talking about innovation, touched upon this previously also slightly briefly. You rules will not let you do a lot of personalization and at least in terms of experience. And uh, if you, I think we see a lot of personalization, but only content changes. Like LinkedIn is same for you and me, Instagram is same for you and me. Only the content bit is something that you are seeing different. Uber will play around with pricing, right? So a regulator will not allow me to do that. The basic structure is anyway same, but I cannot offer two different prices to two different people. So everybody by default will get the same experience. Where I will innovate here is uh, bond market, let's say, is open only 9 to 3, like equity market. We were the first company to launch, although we didn't have a large retail user base to flaunt it. We were the first companies to launch aftermarket orders in bond market. So our app allows you to invest 24/7. So you will innovate on things like these uh, that expand the market, provided it is allowed. So yeah, I
Makes
hope
sense.
I've answered your three-part question.
Makes
Yes,
sense.
yes. At the same time, these are also points that can be regulated anytime in the future, right?
Yeah. So as soon as the regulation comes, you will have a tight window to comply, or you will have to shut down, comply next day.
Makes sense. I think a very similar thing happened in crypto also. If you read about
Yeah.
crypto policy, it is very, very similar to that. See, the one thing is, one of the things that a good PM always understand, that regulation is not a constraint. It is for a
Yeah.
reason. It is for to ensure some large scale outcome to not happen. Right. And that is why regulation comes in. There are certain rules which are, so think of it as an axiom more than a regulation, that these five things I have to assume and then build a good system around it.
Yeah.
That is a very good way. I was recently talking to the head of product at Cash Free, and he was talking about the very same
Hmm.
thing. That's
Yeah.
essentially how you think about it. Make sense? Cool, Ram. Awesome. I am next bringing Gaurav. I'm bringing you in, please. So I'll take the final two questions of Ashrit and Tanishk. After that, we'll end. If anybody has any questions beyond that, but Ashrit and Tanishk, keep it pointed. Multiple questions नहीं, एक ही सवाल पूछना है और वो pointed सवाल होना चाहिए. बस. Gaurav, please introduce yourself. Go for it.
So hello, Bia. My name is Gaurav, and I am a product adoption manager in a B2B SaaS company from last 2 years.
Hmm.
And my question is more like for aspire as I'm aspiring a product manager. So we are likely to encounter multiple failures for product launches and features in future. Definitely, this is very common thing in product adoption, product manager role. So what is the best way to handle those setbacks? And should we take full responsibility if some features failed by for me because I do the discovery for it and I build solution. So how we can think in our mind, so don't afraid while we taking the decision for any product, should we launch it or not before making it, because for the 6 months multiple people who wanna work on it, there is gonna be resources, time, everything. So how we are today is not afraid of taking any decision and will work on it.
I think I'll
Yes, sir.
reword this, and the larger question that I also want to kind of, it's a very interesting thing to ask, is that when so many people are working on it, right? And unfortunately, the accountability is on the product manager, and something
Yeah.
breaks, right? Is
Yeah.
it the product manager who is really accountable at that place? Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't really blame the end user that user doesn't know how to use my product. That would be a very shitty thing to do. But like you like product manager is a thankless role, right? If you do well, you appreciate your team, like they did everything. If you fail, you basically let them do that failure. So first, I think change the mindset from like failure is not a dead end, right? So it's treat it as a data point, right? Like you are not shutting down the company because of that. You launched a feature, it didn't work, but you learned something and you changed that direction. Maybe something should not take 6 months, first of all, to test, right? You would have signals in a couple of weeks. You would have done a lot of user interviews. Maybe at a wireframing stage, you would take a lot of user feedback. Let's in a B2B setup, the good thing is you don't have to uh, like look at user behavior in an amplitude and try to figure out. You can just call and interview your users. You can even show them wireframes. You can even when you have built a very basic mock, you can show them. You can get their feedbacks. You can keep it iterative so that you're not surprised after 6 months. Like you will be only surprised if you are not getting those cues time to time. Um, and like I don't think a massive failure happens, right? You maybe the first version does not work. Then you try to understand why is it not working. Maybe it's missing these three key features. Like every product has jobs to be done. It's missing those things and you just need to add those and it will work, right? So you will not call it a failure. Maybe you were like I think we treated failure as a temperature check. Like today your temperature is 99 doesn't mean you failed, right? Like tomorrow you'll get better. Your temperature will again be better. So treat it as a journey. Like you maybe has a setback, obviously own it. You are responsible as you are in the driver's seat, your team is following you. So if failed, acknowledge and like look for the reasons why and like change course.
Makes sense. The
Yes,
last
yes.
question, the last question that Tanishq, I'm coming in. Kevin, bro, in the interest of time, I would not be able to. You can connect with Abhishek later on, right? Tanishq, fast, succinct, clear question. Go for it.
Yeah, hi, Abhishek. Nice to meet you. Myself, Tanis Prasanna. I recently work in a CPaaS company in a product internship role, and currently I'm in my third year pursuing bachelor's in computer science.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So my question is based upon a situation which I seen in the recent place where I have worked, that you are in a situation where a new trend or new technological implementation has come over, and all of your competitors are looking up to it and build a product around it. But you are in a situation that you have a new idea discovery, and you have a new idea discovery that you want to implement in your product, but there is a constraint that you have a limited workforce, right? That in that place, what you will like prioritize or encounter this situation, because if you prioritize the new product discovery that you have encountered, you will be having a product that your competitors might not be developing right now. But in the same scenario, you will be also not having the other new implementation of the product that other all the competitors are building in their product. So in that
Hmm.
scenario, what you will prioritize?
So, do you
I
follow a
think
Do you follow a trend? I think that's the question. Do you follow a trend which everybody is following, or you believe in your own idea, which you feel that it has merit and nobody is seeing it? Should I do that? Yeah.
I think everybody will approach it differently. Like uh like I would I believe there is no real first mover advantage in a lot of industries. You Apple did not launch a bad example, but AirPod came so late, right? So and Google was not the first search engine. So uh, Facebook was not the first social network. You don't have to be the first at everything. People are, you can look at it from this angle also. Let them fail, let them build something. Let me see what is working. I will build a better version of it. Zerodha was not the first stockbroker. There were so many online stockbrokers. You have to figure out what will win. And just from this data, you'll not be able to decide, right? You have to look for why can't I do both? What is the constraint? Do I I'm not running a one person company, right? I have 1,000 people. Do I have constraints of not hiring 500 more people? What are my absolute limits? Is capital my limit? Can I not raise 100 crores today or tomorrow? Can I not hire people? Can I not work on these two plus 20 other ideas? Like the situation will never be I have just these two choices and I would have to pick one, right? You will have a lot of things where you can take a call based on these data points. And then second thing you look for is it a strategic bet for me, or simply apply a better ROI framework on it? Some things will not give you a ROI immediately, but it is a strategic angle that I would invest in today. So, uh, for a decision making, there will be multiple layers. What I usually do is define my decision making framework. So I think clearly that okay, this decision, these are the points on which I will decide on this. Then I'll rank them, factor them, and basically write it on a piece of paper. That will give you more clarity because it will not be a binary equation that you are simply able to decide. Everything will have a lot of pros and cons.
Makes sense.
So
Awesome. Amazing.
I hope I answered your query.
Yeah.
But
Yes. So the last thing before we end this and we take a group photograph, right, is that I want to ask you one question, right? Which is, how do you stay so calm? Yes. How
and
do you do that?
yeah, so as soon as you asked me this, there is no electricity at my
No
place,
electricity.
so
Yes, I could realize that. Makes sense.
so so yeah, you will have your ups and down moments. I enjoy what I'm doing, so yeah, and I would be frustrated, right? I would vent with people close to me, and at at the end of the day, I will take out time for things I like to do that keeps me relaxing. Let's say I would spend some time doing random content watching. I would do some things that keeps me relaxing. I would try to now work out more as I'm growing into 30s more and more. So we'll do all those things, but yeah, sometimes work will be frustrating, and there will be bits that you enjoy more. So you look forward to the next exciting bit while covering this. I
Makes sense.
hope this black patch is not scaring you in between. So
Absolutely not. But I'm just wondering, how do we take a photograph
how
now?
do we take a picture?
Yes.
This.
I have a
Hmm.
solution.
Yes. Tell me, what is the
So what we can do is we can use a phone's flash to
It
flash our
came back.
Oh, it's
light
Take
back.
here.
it quickly.
It's
It
back.
came back.
Yes. So I want everybody to please showcase your faces on the count of three. I'll say cheese. You will do everybody. Everybody will do like this. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Cheese.
Jeez.
Amazing. So this is done. So the next thing that I want to do is, जनता आपको दो काम करने हैं, दो काम जरूरी हैं. सबसे पहले स्लैक पे सबको मेरे को फीडबैक देना है, बिकॉज इट इज टू शो टू ग्रेटिट्यूड टू द स्पीकर कि क्या अच्छा लगा, व्हाट डिड यू लाइक, इज देयर अ क्वेश्चन दैट यू वांट टू आस्क, इट शुड बी देयर. सेकंड थिंग, आग लगा दो भाई, ये फोटो में डालने वाला हूं, टैग करो भाई लिंक्डइन पे, सर के 2-3 हजार फॉलोअर बढ़ा दो, ऐसा करो, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, ठीक है? सो यू डू दिस वंस अगेन, अभिषेक, थैंक यू वेरी मच, दिस मींस सो
Thanks a lot.
I
Love
you
talking to all of
spent
you.
you spent
Yeah.
like 85 minutes with us. I know you have a busy schedule. It's so grateful to you. And I think I'm pretty sure everybody loved the session. They would want you back. So once again, मैं आपको अभी से ही prep कर रहा हूँ ताकि मैं अगली बार आपको पकड़.
Sure. And sorry for if I'm not able to cover your question. You can ping me on LinkedIn. Feel free to, yeah,
Yes, sir.
ping.
Awesome. Bye. Take care.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye. Take
you.
care.